Hello guys. So in this video and in the next two videos, we will try to create custom labels for our feature class, and also we will work on annotation, which is a different way to create labels and make your labels look customized, and you can design your labels however you want by using annotations. And we will use some advanced symbology, and in these three videos our objective is to create a map or a layout that looks exactly like that. So we will start first by doing the labels right now, and in the next video we will do annotation so we can place our labels however we want and make it look like that exactly. And then the last video will be to change the symbology to make the colors look like that based on the values of the average house price. So right now let's go to Arc Catalog, and inside your master folder in the course data folder you will find a folder called Orange County, and when you open it you will see Orange County MXD. When you open this MXD you will see that we have only two feature layers: the cities represents in points and Orange County cities polygon 1, and both of them have the attributes for the average house price and the name of the city. And here we have our raster image which represent the Orange County cities that we used earlier to digitize the cities. So right now we want to show the labels first, so we will go to Orange County cities, we will open the properties, and in the labels tab we will choose label features, and if you click apply you will see that your labels show up on the map. And as you see here, the labels show the city name, and our objective is to make the label looks like that, the city name, and we have the average house price with $sign next to it. So let's try to do that right here. The way to do that and customize your label is by open the expression window, and here we will customize our label so it shows exactly how we want. So now we want to add the average house price below the name of the city, so we can choose the average house price from here, and when we click append it will automatically add it right next to the city name as two text next to each other. So based on what parser we are using here, you will see that this characters here changes, and this characters means that use the city name and add another text to it. So here I can add the $sign for example, and then add the average house price. So when I see how that will look like, you will see that it looks like this: no spaces and Newport Beach, then the $sign, then the number. If you use JavaScript parser you will see that the and sign change it to plus sign, and the same thing you can do right here. You can add a $sign and verify. You will see how that looks like. So based on the parser you are using, you can use JavaScript or Python or Visual Basic script. You can define this parser right here. So right now we will keep the JavaScript one, and the way to add a new line in JavaScript, you add backslash and then n next to it, and when you verify you will see here that Newport Beach have the $sign and next to it the number of the average house price. But if we compared it to our map right here, we will see that here we have the comma separator, and we want that as well. So one of the things we can do, we can go back here and say okay for that, okay here, and we can okay here, and as you see right now we have the name and under it the $sign and the number, but we don't have comma separated. We can change that by right click, open the attribute table. We can come to the average house price column, right click on it, go to properties, and here you will find that you have number format. You can change the format of how your values looks like, so we can change it from here and say I want it to be currency, and this how it will look like. So if I click OK, and now as you see here the value of the average house price, it changed it to a dollar currency, and we have the decimal numbers for it. So if I put this down here and I go to my labels and I disable it and enable it again, you will see that the label will have two $signs because we added one for the expressions for the labels already, and I have the decimal numbers. And we don't want that. We want only one $sign and without any decimals. So again we are gonna come back here and say I want to change this format to be only number, and I don't want any decimal numbers, so I'm gonna put this to 0, and I will say show 1000 separators, and that will help me have my number with 1000 separators and without any decimals. And we already have the $sign in the label expression, so that will look exactly like we want. If we disable the labels from here, enable it again, you will see right now that we have our labels looks exactly like how we want it here. The name, and below it average house price in dollars and the thousand separators with it. So now let's close our attribute table and go back again to the labels so we can change the font. And also here in the expression, we can create a more customized way by using advanced way to use JavaScript. So if I click here, you will see right now that I can write a fully JavaScript code to make my label looks however I want. So here, once I click advanced, it created for me a function that takes the city name and the average house price. I can come here and say var label equal the city name. I can customize it however I want. So here, for example, I can say show a new line and say average house price and $, and then here I will say, I'll put a semicolon here, and then I'll come here and say return label. So I can write a customized JavaScript code or Visual Basic code or Python code to really make my label looks however I want. I can take the numbers, I can subtract from it, I can add numbers to it, I can change the text, I can add any columns, I can add any fields I want. I can construct my label however I want using this advanced way to create your label using advanced JavaScript code or Python or Visual Basic code. So when I click verify, you will see this is how my label will look like, but I'm just showing you an example. We don't need to show the average house price text, so we will come here and say remove this part. And also you can reset your code from here. You can open help if you need any help understanding how to do the expression. You can load an existing expression. So if someone created an expression for you and you can open the file from here, or you can save it. So we can save this one right now by going to our course data folder and open Orange County here and say expression LXP save. So right now you can send this expression to anyone so they can use it in the same layer if they have the same layer, and they can load it from here to have the label looks exactly how you construct it. So here I will say okay, apply. So now let's change our label to looks like that. We need to make it bold and make it bigger. So we are gonna come here and make it bigger and make it bold. Say apply. You'll see that the label changed it and became bold and bigger. You can also change the font from here. So let's choose another font. Let's try this one. Say apply. This one looks nice as well. Here you have placement properties to define how you want to place your label relative to the polygon. So here you can make it horizontal, or you can make it straight, or you can make it horizontal with the polygon direction. Only place labels inside polygon. You can check this one to make sure that the labels is inside. So for example, this one here is outside of the polygon. If I click OK and apply, you will see that it will only show the labels that can fit inside the polygon. Any other labels that cannot fit inside the polygon, it's not going to be shown. So if you go back again to the placement properties, let's disable that. Here you can remove any duplicate labels. If you have labels have the same exact value, you can remove it from here, or you can place one label per feature or per feature part. So we are gonna keep the default here, and here you have conflict detection, and this one will weight your labels based on high, low, or medium. So for example, if you have a lot of layers and all of the layers showing labels and this label is showing on top of each other, you can change the label weight from here. So the one that have the highest weight, it will show on the top. The one have the lowest weight will show on the bottom. And also here the feature weight, you give a weight for the feature itself. And also here you can set a buffer for your labels, so every single label will have a buffer around it, so the other labels cannot come into this buffer, so you make sure that your labels are shown right. So here we will keep everything default, and also keep in mind that the placement for the labels is different from a polygon feature class to a point feature class to a line feature class. When you work on labels for point, line, or polygon, when you open the placement properties, you will see that some of the options change based on what feature type you are using. So here I will say okay, I'll keep everything the same. Okay, so here scale range, you can change how your labels want to show, like what scale to show, similar to the minimum and maximum scale for the layer, but this will be just for the labels. Most of the time when you set the minimum scale and maximum scale for a certain layer, the labels already show up with this layer. So most of the time you don't need to set that, but now you know how can you set the scale, the minimum scale and maximum scale for your label separately from the scale of the layer itself. And here we have label style, and here you can change the style for your label however you want. You have some predefined styles for you, or you can create your own style from here. So this is all the options we have for the labels in the labels tab. The last thing I want to show you here is the method, and the method is to define classes for this feature labels. What that means is if you have the same feature layer and you want to show some features with large labels, like have a certain design, and other features have smaller label based on a certain value, you can do this by define classes. So let's do that quickly here. We can define a class. Let's call it create a new class. We'll call it large labels. Say okay, and we will create a SQL query for that I want to show my large labels for the average house price that is more than 1 million. I'll say okay, and here I will make my label to look for like 14, and I will make it red, and I will add another class. I will say this one small label. Okay, and here I will add my SQL query to apply this label for the average house price less than 1 million. I will say okay, and I will make the font size 10 and make it blue. So when I say okay, so now as you see here, we have our labels have been shown based on a certain value. So the cities that have average house price of more than 1 million show the label with red color and it's bigger font. The one with less than $1 million is show in blue and smaller font. And also here we have the default labels, so we can come here and go to properties again and say here I want to disable the default by selecting the default and say don't show the default. And we can change the large one, instead of red because the red is not showing, we can make it green. Say okay. You will see that the label is changed based on the classes we entered. So we don't need this right now. I'm just showing you right now how you can define classes for your labels by creating new classes from the label properties right here. So now let's remove the classes we created by selecting each class and say delete, and it will keep the default. And you cannot delete the default because at least you need one class all the time. And here we'll check this one and go back here and say label all features the same way, and we will change the font again to 12, make it bold, and change the font to the one we chose before and apply. And now we have our font back again how we want it to look like, exactly like here. So that's it for the labels. How can you change the labels, how you can create classes for the labels, and how can you also like make your label look however you want using JavaScript or using Visual Basic script or using Python as well, and how you can use these scripts to make your label look however you want. So that's it for this video, and in the next video we will apply annotation. We will create a new feature class type annotation, and we will see how we can convert these labels we created right now into annotations so we can place it around our polygons, not on top of the polygons. So we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.